Are we all on that camera, actually? Is Mark on the camera?
I am.
Mark, your face is really
Oh, we are? Welcome
That's 'cause I'm
to
tan.
SonarFeed. Episode 217.
We're not going to sing our Hugo's back, but we're thinking about it. What's up?
Yeah,
Hugo's
man. Glad
back.
to be back, yo.
Back
Hugo's
again.
I feel like we haven't seen you on the show
Right?
in ages.
It does feel like that, dude.
We're going to talk about burritos and Hugo
Yes.
and Lunchables.
The finer cheese, meats, and crackers.
Are we going to ask Hugo all the questions, the SonarFeed questions, since he's a guest
Since
at this
he's a
point?
guest now? Oh,
Shut
damn.
Damn.
Did you tweet that the show's on, just in case anyone would want to watch,
No,
maybe?
he didn't do that
We're
yet.
doing it right now.
So welcome to episode 217-ish of that
really
thing
like
that we call
235.
SonarFeed. We're down here at the Berliner Pub.
At the finest establishment in town.
Indoors for the first time in quite some time, but it was raining and Mark was cold. So,
Mark forgot how to prepare for fall.
yeah. We vote down, but Mark was here
This
first.
is literally
so
the first time I've worn a sweatshirt since I was
stop
in
seeing that ad right there.
Iceland in June.
Anyway, so
The Berliner Pub, 3rd and Main, downtown Renton.
Ahead
the
of the
curve.
Come on, Dan.
Jinx. Mark can't talk for the rest of the show, so it'll be like normal. Anyway, so we got a couple cool things to talk about.
Ooh, look at that monstrous burger walking by.
There was
Nice.
just an amazing match that the Sounders played.
Did you know
This
there's
weekend?
highlights from that? Is there a way for there to be highlights?
I don't even know if I can contain myself over how good that match was.
Seriously, dude. I think the only thing that may have been close to that exciting was the Seahawks game. I mean, both of those are just amazing.
Yeah, so that happened on
Yeah.
Saturday. So we'll talk a little bit about that. I know that people definitely want to hear what you've been up to. You've been in and out for a couple of
nobody
months.
there.
Yeah, man. Putting in
but-
a lot
but
of work.
really working it.
Learning a lot.
You've been doing.
Yeah, I've been doing, but I've also been learning. It's just, learn as I go. But, yeah, it's been keeping me busy and feel like I'm doing something, like I'm making
Excellent.
a difference. So that's good.
That's awesome. So we'll talk about that a little bit. Jake is hiding over in the corner. He is leaving soon, and at the moment he's trying to eat as many Berliner sausages as he can before he leaves, and I'm not actually kidding.
Yeah.
So that's happening. And we got Adam back producing the show tonight. Mark is watching highlights of, and by highlights I mean gameplay from Saturday's match. And
So far, I'm really glad I didn't have cell reception.
let's go around the horn for people who may not know who we are, actually. So I'm Tom Biro, a.k.a. Bougie Hooli. Across from me,
Hugo Garcia, a.k.a. Mi Vida Seattle. And to your right, my left,
Dave Clark, at Better Than. And finally, joining us on the air this week in an official capacity is...
Mark Nesterov, also known as SSFC 4013.
woo!
holy shit, the fries are super good. If you're at the Berliner Pub and you get fries and you don't ask for them to be like well done or extra crispy, you have missed out on an amazing life experience.
Yo,
That was
Did you
a
say
Discovery
extra
late.
done?
about to,
Extra
yes,
done?
sir.
I don't know. However, Dave, we just basically order
Oh,
them.
wow.
I ordered
make
them,
them
like, well done.
Specifically how Dave got them that one day.
Wow.
It was last week, late in the show. I decided I was hungry, but not very hungry, so I ordered a side of fries, well done, and now they're the best fries ever.
Ever.
Dude, that was delicious.
So
Yeah.
we got a few things we can get into tonight. Before we forget, and we'll come back around to this later, Oktoberfest starts this week.
This weekend, Oktoberfest at the Berliner Pub, the
weekend.
originator of Renton's original Oktoberfest. They start every weekend. Friday, Saturday is going to be dedicated to a different beer. Happy Hans opening the weekend up and the festivities. They're closing it too at the end. So this weekend is Pauliner and Hocker Shore for the featured beers. Eyinger is September 29th and 30th. Hofbrau, October 6th and 7th. Warsteiner, October 13 and 14. And
Come over here.
Spaten on the 20th and 21st.
Join
Hoppy
us.
Hans will be back for that. There'll be stuff going on. They'll have specials. The ladies will be in their drindles. Isn't that the name of the
People are
the
going to be
outfit?
dressed
Men in
appropriately.
lederhosen. It'll be...
I will not be in Lederhosen, but
they do
come
a
down.
show. They make a big deal out of it. So, Oktoberfest, the
Yeah.
Berliner Pub, 3rd and Main, downtown Renton.
It's happening.
It's ahead of the curve, and it's going to be popping.
And if you come here on Saturday, you can watch a game and
Yes.
experience Oktoberfest.
Watch the game, stay for Hoppy Hans. Happy Hans. Hoppy Hans?
Hop.
Well, Hoppy with all that German beer
Hans.
you'll be drinking.
Hoppy Hans.
Did they
It
fix
should
your
be
Twitter
Hoppy.
handle?
Yes.
Hoppy Hans is the Yakima cover band
it's
of
still
Happy Hans. That was a good
Accurate.
That
joke.
was a good joke.
Good call.
No, but join us. It's going to be fun.
Please.
Come on down.
Please clap.
So
No.
let's we got some cool things to talk about for next week's show. Some of you may or may not have already heard, but let's
I mean, let's be
Let's-
honest. The 9 people listening right now, they know what's up.
they probably know.
Yeah.
How do I tell Sounder at Heart that I don't want the Cialis ad?
You click that little thing in the corner.
No, I did.
Do that.
It's not targeting it because you're on Sounder at Heart. It's targeting it because you're you.
I definitely
Seriously,
don't.
Who had the wings? He's
All right.
Well, I don't know. Some
So-
asshole put us inside.
So there was a game on Saturday.
Yes, indeed.
Sounders played FC Dallas.
We had redemption before the game because somebody celebrated an unjust and unfair ruling and got a chance to play as they should have.
What you do with napkins?
So it started out okay because we had a player back.
Yep.
Other than that, wasn't exactly any kind of offensive masterpiece by any measure.
No, dude. No. And I think it's been a
So
sign of the
watching that
times.
recap, I didn't see any Sounder shots.
Well, that's because Clint Dempsey took them, and none of them were near the net. You could have done the how high or how wide do you want the goal multiple times. Jake wants to know what's an offense. Great question, Jake. We'll get to that later. So,
Is
because
that like what is a catch?
I don't even want to talk to you anymore. So, yes. So, again, any other time you get a 0-0, you get any sort of draw
Yeah.
at Dallas or at
Oh,
anywhere,
yeah,
really,
especially, you know,
you're going to be like, cool.
Yeah.
But, like, the offense is stagnant. Teams just rolling from an unbeaten streak, which is great. But, like, there does appear to be some gaps.
An issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Stephen Fry moved to the league lead in shutouts by a goalkeeper, and I believe the Sounders are tied with the league for the team lead.
And he's taken a chunk off of his GAA in the last month.
in the draw run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it's the last 9. It's like
Wow.
4 shutouts of 9 or whatever.
Well, and-
but 5 of
5 of
9,
9.
yeah.
And the
5 of 9.
last time he gave up multiple goals, if I'm remembering correctly, was DC United.
when they made that crazy comeback.
Was the crazy comeback, which is also the last time the Sounders have scored more than 2 goals. Oh, no, wait. They were at Minnesota where they scored 4 as well.
That happened.
But that was before
No,
DC,
no,
wasn't
that
it?
was after.
After?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
again, there's highlights. There are perks or there are positives to come out of things. But I think everyone agrees, Brian Schmetzer included, that there's definitely some clicking that needs to start happening.
Yeah. And, not
Fast.
having Jordan for a bit, it's going to really test us to see how we can feel that.
Yeah, all those people that wanted Will Bruin to start over Jordan Morris and
Now
Jordan
we
Morris
have
on
it.
the bench.
Here you
Now we have
go.
it.
That went well.
Yeah. That escalated quickly.
Can we just, so maybe we start Lamar Nagel and bring in Will Bruin in the 72nd?
I'd be down for that to try it out. Why not? I mean, I've seen
We could ask him.
I've seen Will have a lot more success this year, so I definitely want to
Well, I mean, kind of like we've had with Nagel multiple times. You bring in a player 60, 70 minutes into a match, they're able to just change the gameplay. Yeah. We saw it a week ago. At some level, Bruin has taken advantage of that, when he's come in as a sub previously. But I don't know.
We have to try it in the third right now, right?
I feel like we're going to have the same conversation about this game than we did about the one last week.
And the Portland
1-1
game.
draw.
And the Vancouver game.
We can go way back.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
It has. So
the solutions are not simple and easy. It's not a matter of just subbing off a guy or subbing a guy in or starting a new dude, because all of the attacking combinations have looked like this. Very effective at everything but scoring goals.
Yeah.
Creating chances? Fine.
They've actually been really good at creating chances.
Getting shots off?
For Roman Torres. That dude is in the area a lot.
Yeah, he has been. Yeah, he has been.
It's been really good, though, at also creating bad corners for Nicolas Lodero.
Man.
That sail about 10 yards far.
Yeah, I don't want him targeting the far post anymore.
Like, it's over,
No.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've been talking about this. They were not good. There was one that was all right, and the others you were like, wow.
Some of the short corners are the angle, like, where it's kind of a short, quick one that you try to insert the ball as a pass afterward. I like that.
Yeah.
But I don't like his long service anymore.
No.
Particularly with Victor Rodriguez often on the field now.
Who's
or
fun.
Even Roldan. There are other options, and I think we need to start seeing a few more of them. Nico with his left foot, when it's an in-swinger on a short corner, I kind of like that because you have that knock-on or direct goal option.
Yeah.
But I'm done with floated header or floated corners. If I wanted to see floated corners, I'd have Tyrone Mears on the team still.
Oh, wow.
Dave Clark, not a Tyrone Mears fan.
Woo!
Yeah,
You don't say.
That's the...
Let him know. Let him know.
Which one of you typed, our offense is terrified?
Well, I'm looking
Adam. Good job. Anywho.
No, man, I agree, though, man. We need to try something out. Lamar, at first, my initial Lamar the whole game, I don't know, Will's sounded good. But you know what? Let's try something, anything. Mix it up.
I just don't know if it's that simple. Like, Dave's teasing this. Like, I don't know if it's just a dude.
Right.
Like, and it's weird because even last time, they had a ton of shots or a ton of opportunities. But even this game, like, you definitely saw the thing where you bring in the ball up, and then, like, Lodero's like, oh, hey, hang on, I'll wait for the defense to come catch up to the play. And you're like,
Marco Papa syndrome.
What are you doing?
Oh, God, that's the worst.
Yeah, I think it was American Soccer Analyst today pointed out that Nico Lodero has 242 more passes in the final third than the second best player in that category in the league.
Wow.
And that's also more than like two-thirds of the players. The difference between first and second is more than like two-thirds of the players in the league. Like, he is so on the ball in the area. Like, the people that are like, well, he's just not getting he's getting the touches.
Yeah.
And he's going to end with
We're not
something
just-
like
we're just not
12 or
finishing
14
it.
assists. And he's going to have 4 to 6 goals, and that's a pretty good season.
And that's the frustrating part is because there are plenty of times there's this weird spot, though, where it's, I don't know, 30 yards out, where, like, if they get it past there, you feel good. But, like, from there to the 18, you're like, I don't know what's going to happen here, ever. And you felt a little bit different with Jones out on the field, I think, this week. But it just feels like the ball gets there, and then either someone does something dumb, or it just doesn't get through to where you're expecting it to get. Whereas when it swings up, or it's a long ball, or whatever it is, or it's a fry, kick up the field, punt up the field, and, it's flicked forward or whatever, and they run onto it, like, that stuff's working out. But, like, there's this gap where it just does not feel like they're able to cross. Now, some of that you've got to probably give credit to the opposing defenses, because there's got to be something that's been identified, whether it's Lodero and Dempsey and someone else, or, like, habits.
They're willing to
things.
let people. They're willing to let the Sounders cross against them,
Right.
and it's
Oh my
working
God, dude.
because Seattle has settled for that. one of the other issues this week was there were multiple times where like there was this 20-yard box. Nuhu, Joven, Clint, Christian, Nico, and sometimes even Ozzy were all in that area at the same time. Which means if you bust out of that area where it's really hard to thread the ball through, if they bust through that, they only have like Will Bruin to pass to.
Jeez.
Or Leardom with a cut run.
Basically, we're
there was one
overcrossing.
ball that swung over Bruin, and it was like feet in front of him and probably a little too high, if I recall correctly.
Oh, yeah.
But like if that had gone in, this is a completely different conversation, even though it would still be probably really accurate.
Yeah, I mean, this team is good enough that it needs to be scoring more than one goal.
Oh, dude.
Right.
Against teams like they've faced. Because at the time they faced Vancouver wasn't great. And facing LA is bad. We all recognize that. Dallas is
bad.
not good. You know, they're in a 10-game.
Muy bad.
As good as this streak has been for Seattle, Dallas is the inverse. They're I use the phrase way too often, running in opposite directions.
Yeah.
They haven't won in 10 games now.
Wow.
So they went from, for all the struggles that the Sounders had at the beginning of the year, they didn't put themselves out of the playoffs. And Dallas is managing a great job of putting themselves out of the playoffs. You're supposed to be able to score a goal against a struggling team like that, even
Seriously.
on the road.
Seriously.
When you're down one of your attacking players, they've squandered a few opportunities, and they're not aggressive enough, and it's
Frustrating.
yeah.
Super frustrating.
And then at the same point as we started out, at the beginning of the season, a draw against FC Dallas at FC Dallas.
In late early
It
September.
would have been
We
like
would've-
cool.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
at
all
the beginning
day.
of the year, the top three teams were Dallas, Toronto, and Seattle.
Right, but now we're looking at we've been in first, second, now fourth place over the last
In
2 to
2
3
weeks.
weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
And we could have made a big, bold statement and taken, separation to try to lock up one of those first two spots.
I didn't hit it right. There was a time a couple weeks ago where it looked like Seattle could finish second to only Toronto. Those hopes
Before
are
the
pretty
LA.
much done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's because of this format. This draw streak has kind of... They can still win the West, but
Very
the remote...
easily, actually.
It's demoralizing.
The remote possibility of hosting an MLS Cup again is...
Dwindling.
Yeah, it's not great there. Because even Columbus now looks like it could match Seattle on points, and they're the fourth best team in the East. It's but still almost certainly a top four finish, almost certainly a playoff appearance. Top 7 looks likely in the league. We're so spoiled because we're looking at a 13-game unbeaten run and
Yeah.
Wow.
a top 4 finish in the West and the longest active playoff streak, second longest in the history of the league. And we're like,
LFG.
oh, this sucks.
You're right, man. We are super spoiled.
It's totally a matter of perspective.
Like, I'm just peeking back at the schedule, and so, like, when a lot of this was rolling. So, August 5th, at Minnesota, 4-0, like, steamrolling. And we knew that they were going to go in hot. Like, you looked at that on paper, and you were like, LOL, that's going to be bad.
I remember it was right
Sorry.
when Jordan
Yes.
and Clint were clicking after the national team games.
Right?
And
But then
boom.
the next week, a 1-0 win versus Kansas City. And I would say that match, scoreline aside, that match, I think you were kind of like, oh, that wasn't maybe as quality as I thought you'd get
Right,
from
right.
home.
Yeah.
And that's because you're coming off of matches like a 4-0 win, a 4-3 comeback, and so on.
Right. The
that-
expectations are like
here. Sorry, Mark. Your expectations were high. Maybe those were the wrong expectations, to be honest.
Well,
And maybe the team really is a 1-0, 2-1, bunch of draws team, and they happen to have a couple of breakout weeks where they just did big things.
Against
I don't know.
subpar opponents.
I mean, to be honest, that's actually more in line with what this team was for the first 15 games of the season, is that they are a team that's going to draw 4, 5, 6 times in a row,
Well, they're
score
also
a goal-ish.
They're very much a defense-first identity. If you look at who I think's been the best player this year, it's
Jones.
Christian Roldan.
Oh, just kidding.
And it's because of his growth as a
I was just
defender.
kidding. I agree.
Osvaldo
Hold on.
Alonso, healthy, is winning the ball again. Gustav Svensson's contribution. Chad Marshall, who I stated on Sounder Heart, should be the leader as the defensive player of the year this season. Ramon Torres, Stefan Fry. You list the players that are performing at or above their expected level. You're like, they're all responsible for keeping the ball out of the net. You know, Nico is a little down, not a lot down, but a little down. Clint, a little down, not a lot down. Will Bruin, about what you expected.
What you'd expect, yeah.
Yep.
Jordan
If
Morris,
not ahead.
kind of a lot down.
Not down.
Well, now he's really down.
Yeah. So when you look at it that way, I keep asking Brian Schmetzer as I play footsie with Mark. I keep asking him, what's
Do you
the
ask him
identity
that while
of
you
the
play
team?
footsie with me?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the identity of the team? And he talks about, never give up and the spirit and the heart, and that's a lot of it. But I actually think the identity of the team might be you're not scoring more than one. And if you score more than
Damn.
one, we don't really care because we're going to grind it out and we'll find a way. And that was New England and D.C. But if you look, I'll pull up the game notes the next time I stop talking, but I'm pretty certain that the Sounders have given up one or fewer goals in 2/3 of their games. And if you do that, you're going to take a lot of points, even if your offense sucks.
Yep. Yep.
Adam asked about what the congestion of the standings means.
Parity.
And to put that forward, Vancouver's first in the West. Second, third, and fourth are all on 44 points. San Jose, with their negative 16 goal differential, are now
Jesus.
fifth in the West with
Are you
39
kidding
points.
me?
Real
Hey, they
Salt Lake,
tightened that up a little bit.
negative 8 with 38. Houston has 38 points with +7. Dallas has 38 points with 1. So there's kind of these clusters in the West. The top 4 are clearly the 4 best teams, unless you're like me and don't believe in Vancouver. And then spots 5 through 8 are pretty competitive. Like, over this season, you could argue that any of those teams deserves to be in the playoffs based off of small sample sets.
Yeah.
Runs you've seen
Their,
them take.
their
get on.
34 game thing is going to. So there's a lot of congestion. Hugo, hit Eastern Conference really quick. The Eastern Conference isn't nearly as congested because, Toronto's going to be the best or second best
62
team in the history of the
points.
league.
37 goal differential.
There's still
Jesus.
a contest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's dumb.
That's so ridiculous, dude.
I was talking to
They're gonna
Dwayne
have
Rollins.
a GD higher than teams potentially
Have
score
points.
goals. Like,
Yeah, dude. They have points.
Colorado.
Yeah, okay, so their goal differential is more than 2 teams in the East have scored, Orlando and D.C.
have scored.
Philly has 37 goals scored exactly. Toronto's goal differential is 37.
Like, that's insane.
Oh my god.
Yeah. But there's also congestion there. Second and third, New York City and Chicago, 51 and 48 points. And then kind of the 4, 5, 6 for them is really jockeying to get that. There's a little bit of bye contest going on and a little bit of hosting the wild card of the play-in round because Columbus and Atlanta are on 44, 43, New York at 42, Montreal at 36. So I'm almost willing to say the East, who's going to make the playoffs, is sorted. But between Chicago and New York, one of them gets a bye, and one of Columbus and Atlanta and Red Bulls gets to play a home game, and the other 2 go on the road.
I mean,
It's congested throughout the league, and you know we talked about those top 4 from the West. That's basically spots 4, 5, and 6 in the East have those same point totals.
I mean, do you think that what are they at 48 points that Stefan Schweinsteiger in Chicago can win the World Cup this season?
At this point, I might even declare they already have.
Do you think let's talk about the league a little bit then. You've brought up some great statistics, and while they're very valid, this league gets really random from here on in. Do you think now, especially now that we've seen a Toronto without a couple players, and I know that LA isn't exactly
LA was
somebody
missing their
good.
only good attacking
They
player.
got stomped.
And they were missing he's a dead weight anchor. They were missing Jermaine Jones and Romain Lettuce Boy Alessandrini.
Yes. And they got
rolled.
stomped.
Toronto's extraordinary.
I mean, without Javinko.
Let's remember, Toronto was the better team than Seattle last year. And if the entire season mattered, they would have won the MLS Cup. They didn't. And then they improved. They have adding Victor Vasquez to their midfield. So now Giovinco can be up top more frequently. Like, I kind of spoke a little bit to this. I was talking to Dwayne Rollins, 24th Minute, runs Canadian Soccer News. Somewhere between 4 and 6 dudes from Toronto will be in the best 11. And
Wow.
if we did
That's
like
insane.
a second team all league,
Dude,
it'd probably be like 9 of them.
that's nuts.
It's it's awesome to see.
Like they have a defensive mid whose name I can't remember, and they have 3 center backs, and one of them's not very good. But the other 2, Eric Zavaleta and Drew Moore, are both awesome. Stephen Beitashour and Brandon Morrow, or not Justin Morrow, not Brandon Morrow, not the reliever that used to be both for Toronto and
He's a
Seattle.
hockey player too for the
But,
Dallas
Justin
Stars.
Morrow, their 2 wingbacks belong in best 11 conversations. Giovinco, Josie Altidore, Michael Bradley. Like, I went over my best 11, and Michael Bradley, to me, is one of 2 defensive mids I'll put in my best 11 right now. He has been great, and because they added Vasquez, he doesn't need to enter the attack. He can just win the
Right.
ball and get it forward.
Which is
it's a
interesting
simple
to watch
role
it,
for him.
too. It looks different, and you're like, oh, this works. Oh, okay.
It's
That's pretty cool.
It's like when the U.S. national team plays well, when Michael Bradley can just be, when he can dedicate himself to a single role rather than be the transition player. That's
Right.
when the U.S. plays best. With Toronto, he's able to do that, and it's great.
So, but let's get into playoffs for a second. So, they and NYCFC are likely getting that bye,
Yeah.
right? So, at the bottom of the pack there, it's pretty close. I would say this is gonna. You might flip a Columbus and an Atlanta depending on how the season
Atlanta
goes.
has so many home games remaining that they probably finish.
Right? But you're looking
4th.
at Red Bulls, Atlanta, Columbus, Chicago, NYC, and Toronto. On one hand, it's all close enough that you could totally see Toronto getting picked off. On the other hand,
I watched the Mariners win 116 games in
Oh,
a season
yeah.
and fail out in the playoffs.
Yep, I remember that.
So we
I-
can always remember, no matter how good you are, Seattle
Right.
Supersonics against Denver Nuggets in a 5-round
Yep.
Doesn't matter.
series.
Oh, dude, that came in
Even
Mutombo on the
despite
corner.
having,
No.
What, like the 9th best record in the history of the NBA at the time, losing in the first round to an 8 seed. So we know what the playoffs can do to teams. Heck, we saw the Pittsburgh Steelers as a 6 seed one year go to the Super Bowl. The playoffs are the playoffs.
Playoffs.
They're a second season. And
Playoffs.
while you set yourself up with home games and whatnot, I'm not willing to say that Toronto is without a doubt going to MLS Cup.
I concur. I'm with you.
But-
I predict the first round upset. Here, here. Here, here.
But they're really damn good.
Yeah, they
and
are.
I kind of want them in MLS Cup because it's a historic season, and they deserve it. And their defense, like we went over all their attack, but
Y'all
like,
remember what I said,
honestly,
though?
Eric Zavaleta,
You're
Moore,
my witness.
Morrow, Beitashour, Bradley, the 2 dudes whose names I can't remember, that back 3-7, and then Bono is as good as the defenses in Kansas City and Seattle.
yeah. But this is where
And they have
you
the
go-
best attack in the league.
This is where you go. You could be down Josie or somebody else and be like, they'll be fine.
Yeah.
Which is the scary part. I don't know. It's interesting because I think we've all seen this league now long enough. When the playoffs come around,
It's
that
a
you
whole
just
different
never
beast,
know
man.
what you're gonna get.
It's a whole
But
different beast.
on the other hand, like I watch a lot of sports in my life, and every so often you see stuff roll, and you're like, I don't know who's beating that.
Yeah.
I don't know, and
They've
Jake
only
from
lost,
DM is off. Mike says
they've only
Toronto's
lost
lost
three games this year.
That's fine. All they need to do is lose one in the
Yep.
playoffs, and they're done.
Yep, that means they're due. That means they're
And
due.
There's some interesting teams to face. Atlanta's defense isn't as good, but their offense can match up with Toronto's
Yep.
quite well. It's funny to think of, but the Columbus Crew are probably the best defensive team from the East that'll make the playoffs. And Justin Miram is capable of dominating.
Let's go.
yeah,
Like,
Somebody beat him, man.
and they gave him the team. Like, the reason they got rid of Ethan Finley was so that Miram
Could run the show.
would get more time on the ball. Higuain is now a support player rather than the catalyst. Adding Mane gives him a speed threat. Like they built a fun little team that they're
Can
kind of,
upset somebody. A team that could upset somebody.
they're my not Toronto team in the East that I'm. The
who you're
most
not
confident-
Toronto.
The not Toronto East
crew?
crew that is best off right now.
Okay, so bias aside, what's your? Let's look at the West for a second. Who doesn't make the playoffs right now? Salt Lake is in 6,
Gracias, kid.
but Houston, and Dallas are all tied at 38, but they have a different number of matches played.
I'm way down on Houston. Their inability to win road games.
So, like
is
as
gonna
typical,
end.
Houston starts good and then turns into a trash heap.
Well, they didn't. I mean, they started good because they had several home games in a row to begin the season, and then they started going on the road, and I think they finally won a game. But their road record, I'm working from memory here. It's something like 1-9-3. We can look it up in a little bit, but it's rather pathetic. I would be heartbroken if a team that horrible on the road makes the playoffs.
So you don't think there's something to, as we've seen in other leagues and other sports, Houston team motivated by the city being beat up?
No question.
I'm just asking.
I mean,
There's something
It
to
would be
that.
a great story.
Yeah. So you think you're going to call it right now?
But
you think
there's been
Houston's
plenty
an
of
odd
natural
team
disasters
out?
that have hit the United States and the teams don't win.
Absolutely.
We remember the
The
New
ones that
Orleans
do.
Saints.
Exactly.
Yep.
You know, we don't remember.
56 others.
Well,
Yeah.
the Pelicans also played that year. How'd they do?
Who?
The
Is that
NBA
hockey?
team.
I know.
There's
It's a
not
joke.
an NBA team called Pelicans.
The New Orleans.
You know, the best part about this is we're
Wow.
just going to keep going.
Yeah.
So if you called it right now, you'd call Houston odd team out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fully confident.
What about
Houston's-
FCD?
What?
It's
Dallas.
gonna.
Oh.
So if I'm remembering correctly, RSL has games in hand and is pretty freaking good right now. I think RSL finishes 5th,
Okay.
and it's between Dallas and San Jose for that last spot.
okay.
Most games?
30.
Mickey corrected me because I actually had the inverse of reality. Who's the is it Sporting that has all the extra games right now?
Yeah, Sporting. Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot of 28s finally. But
As does
Portland
Vancouver.
and Dallas, or Portland and RSL both have 30. That's good for Seattle because
Yes, it is.
Gives them
Yes, it is.
gives them the opportunity to actually score goals and pass Portland
And not get draws.
Possibly get the.
Okay. So would
Here,
you
here.
say that
I'm angry and the
Cascadia...
suspicious.
We're
Do you think
knocking on wood.
Cascadia takes the top 3?
Yes. I'm going to call that. Why not,
I think the
Jake?
best 2 teams in the West are Kansas City and the Sounders. And I think Portland's the 3rd best.
He's just kidding. No.
I mean, it's 1 point.
I'm just saying.
So we could roll dice, and
Yeah,
any
pretty
of that
much, man.
combination could come up over and over in a
Yeah.
different way. So
and we're all pretty much playing each other.
I mean, it's really hard to beat Kansas City. Their defense and their willingness
I
to
don't wanna
foul
play
you
Kansas
anywhere
City.
on the
Nope.
field. It's a horrible game.
So for the moment at least,
So that was some league chatter.
Houston we
yeah,
think
that
is
was
a walk.
solid league chatter. Well, going into the finish the season, 4 games to go, we needed to have that breakdown. That was a good breakdown.
Emily also hasn't heard of the Pelicans.
I don't know.
I
Who cares
don't know.
about the Open
What's
Cup?
an
Yeah.
Open Cup?
What's that?
Insert
It's
generic
Wednesday
MLS
at
band.
6 p.m. Pacific.
When your team's not involved, the
SKC
Open
Red
Cup
Bulls.
doesn't matter, right?
Yep.
Go Meteor.
Go Meteor.
Yeah.
No, I'd like 120 minutes. And it's Red Bull. Kind of like them to win an Open Cup. They only, if I remember correctly, the Red Bulls only have 2 major trophies in their 20-some year history.
There's some shields.
Those 2 supporter
Two
shields in the last 4 years. It'd be nice for them to get an Open Cup. Also, fuck Kansas City.
I would like that a lot.
I'll drink to that.
FKC FC.
Jake's making a comment here offline. What happened? What happened?
Red Bull played very well against Cincinnati, which
Yeah.
Cincinnati, by the way, last weekend finally passed the Seattle Sounders for the highest attendance at Division II. Because when the Seattle Sounders hosted the Vancouver Whitecaps in the first ever game at CenturyLink Field, when it was called Seahawks Stadium, they had well over 25,000
I have a lanyard that says Seahawks Stadium.
from the inaugural season.
Yep.
Because you had season tickets that year.
Yes, sir.
You're my idol.
2002. Boom.
So
He's my idol. Give him back.
And y'all are my idol.
Okay.
All of you.
So let's come back to Sounders for a second.
Who?
The Seattle Sounders.
There's a team called...
You remember that blog that you started?
Yeah.
Sounder.
Every third person you meet.
Stop talking.
Move to Toronto.
Anyway, Jake from TO. Yeah,
Jake
that's
from
my joke.
YYZ.
Jake from
YYZ.
YYZ. What? So, any other takeaways from the match other than pissed off Clint Dempsey is amusing. JJ may or may not be good in any 5-minute period. And Stephen Fry is really pissed off at everyone.
I no longer want to see Nuhu and Jovan Jones on the field at the same time. I thought their dynamic was poor.
I could feel that.
And we've been better. The attack has been better on the left with only one of them, even if it's a Nuhu who isn't great at the attack. I would have preferred, and now it might be fitness related, but I would have preferred V8 starting with Jovan in the back. I think that would have been a more effective attack. V8. Victor Rodriguez, he wears the number 8. You could have had a V8.
I'm down with that. I'm down
Who,
with that.
by the way, is still super fun to watch on the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so is
Like,
Nuhu,
no matter
though.
where
So is
he
Nuhu,
you're
though.
like, that's cool. Do something.
Yeah. I just realized Hugo doesn't understand my V8.
I know I do. The
Juice.
juice. The juice. Yeah, no, I got it. I got
Engine.
Yeah.
Engine.
No.
So anyway,
Yeah.
any other takeaways from the team?
Remember when we're like, well, Gustav Svensson got cut by China, so he's not very good.
I love him.
Yeah, he's been a very, very...
So glad he's going to be here next year.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, he's definitely been a huge underrated player for us.
So over under on players that like biting people coming to the Sounders.
What? Set your number.
Let me ask it a different way. Right now,
It's a binary
would
choice.
would you say it is out of the realm of possibility that Luis Suarez comes to the Sounders ever? Right now.
Ever.
Yeah, next
Wait,
let's call it
ever?
next 3
2020.
years.
Or
Next
before
3 years.
2020.
Yeah, by 2020. Good call. Yes or no?
prepared for by 2020. No.
Do you? Okay, corollary. Do you think it's within the realm of possibility? Like, truly, do you think it could happen?
I think Nico really, really wants him here,
Like, it keeps
and I could
coming up,
see him
dude.
doing this. Like, I could see him being like, you know what? I was going to retire this year, but Nico, let's hang out. I could see him doing that, which would be like 2022-ish.
What
Okay.
are the slated movies upcoming for Joe Roth? That might be a better indicator.
Wow.
Yeah, because there's no way they're paying it off his buyout right now.
Speaking of buyouts, did Benzema just get like $1 billion buyout?
I don't know.
Somebody got one. If it wasn't Benzema, I think it was somebody else maybe somebody on PSG. Somebody had some obscene buyout.
I saw Carlos Tevez has
Still
played
not
like
really doing
12
anything.
games and 2 goals.
And isn't one a penalty?
Yeah. Did you see who's no longer playing for Shanghai Shenhua? He skipped the
Femi
last 2
Martins?
games, hanging out in
cut?
Bellevue. He was not injured, and there's no reports of injury out of China.
Well, we
So
missed the
all he's
roster
doing is
freeze,
hanging
right?
out with Steve
So we
Zakuani
missed
in
the roster
downtown
freeze,
Bellevue.
though. So
Yeah.
Really?
If you follow him on the Instagram,
Cool.
he is at the Bravern again.
Yeah.
great.
And Zakuani was like, I don't want to start rumors. Too late, bro.
Oops.
You should invite him out to
Although-
practice.
I
He can do interviews for Center at Heart.
Oba.
How amazing
my
would that
God.
be?
That
You know
would be
what?
dope.
We should message Obafemi Martins since we know he's hanging out.
Chilling.
Since you got nothing to do, and
Maybe
yeah.
2 weeks from now he wants to come to the Berliner. Rumor.
let's try it.
Why not?
Let's swing for the fences.
Stranger things
What the hell? We
Have
got Chris
happened.
Smith
have
on to say
happened.
yes.
He'd be like, okay. Chilling at the Berliner.
He's been a bad interview every time I've talked to him. But
If he says that we have to go to the Bravern, would we do it?
yes,
No question.
The best is Dave took 0.00001 second to think about that.
if he says we have to do it on his like 2-acre deck at the top of the Bravern,
Okay.
despite the rain, would Mark be willing still?
Yeah, I got a canopy.
Okay.
Done.
All right.
Okay, so let's talk about this weekend's game in Salt Lake.
Yeah.
Who's going? I heard
Not
there's a lot
going.
of people going.
Nope.
There are a number of people going.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone here is going. Anyone here going to Salt Lake City?
Anybody going to Salt Lake City?
It's a
Everybody's going, yo.
Everyone
Everybody
is going.
at the table
You're-
right
you're not
to
on
the
the
right of me.
microphone.
Said they're all going.
Yeah, nobody's going.
Just kidding.
0 people are going to come.
So, Mickey
Simple
earlier
system.
asked the question, when do they change the lineup? Do you think that there are just prescriptive lineup changes made because of the last 4, 5, 6 games?
But there's not much they can do, though, right?
Like,
I mean, there are.
They-
You could
they-
actually
they
let us know what
basically-
Harry Ship looks like.
well,
Well, he
let's
look-
be
I
honest.
can tell you
Harry
'cause I
Ship
saw him
isn't
at
beating
S2.
Aaron Kovar and Jordy Delem for.
I'm just making a joke.
Started at S2, by the way.
It was a joke.
Because
Yeah.
Jordy Delem is considered more valuable to the team right now.
By the way, shout out to JJ. You were totally wrong on Harry Ship, yo. Not happening.
Right.
Harry Ship is like 26th for me
Nah.
on
I
this
mean-
team.
What's interesting, he has the 12th most minutes on the team this year.
What does that really
Well, he
mean,
got most of
though?
those in the first half when we were just not as great.
Well, it means they added a lot of talent late.
I think any season where you don't dress 18 players, if you're the 12th most minutes on a team, that's an invalid statistic.
Well, he wasn't. He was healthy for that one, and he played through the weird wrist injury thing.
He did.
a couple
He was
times,
wearing
which wasn't.
a wrist thing.
Still, yeah,
Still.
He hasn't held it. But I mean, you look at when we talk about the depth on this team and what lineup changes you could make. Harry Ship, who has a
Let's just be
what?
clear.
He's got like 100 starts under his belt,
Harry Ship's
in
a
his
very
life.
good player, but like,
and he's the 18th
where is he
guy on
starting in
roster.
the mid right now, or at mid or forward right now? Like,
Yeah.
not
He's the
I-
he's the 18th or 19th player on the roster.
maybe.
He's at S2.
That's because he got to get minutes at some point. So, anyway, so let's talk about RSL for a second. There's a crew going to RSL. It's one of the last 2 away matches this season. Specifically here, do you think that so would you just say there's no strategic changes to the lineup? It's you start your best 11, and that's what you do.
No strategery.
David, I know you're eating.
I think
Hugo's
based
like,
on-
I don't know. I'm going to look it up on the internet.
They could say that for the Philly game and try something against Philly, but against RSL, I would try something. But then again, Philly's I don't know.
They got to win it.
Yeah, they
Like,
have to win. Yeah, they can't
One
really try
thing
much.
Metzer
man.
has done is he
Best coach.
doesn't generally rest a guy for fatigue reasons. There haven't been a lot of times where he's like, you know what, we're going to put forward a worse lineup today. He wants to win games,
Right.
And this team needs to win games. So the lineup he puts out is not about getting ready for Vancouver midweek next week. The lineup he puts
to win
out
games.
is
To
to
get
get
3
3 points at Salt Lake City.
Let's go.
And then the lineup against Wednesday, like he's not gonna
Is to get 3 points
he's not gonna save a bullet.
against Vancouver.
You got to fire them all because if you don't win that battle, you don't get another one, kind of thing. That's more his attitude. That's what we saw particularly last year when there wasn't depth.
Yeah.
It was just grind them to dust and hope good things happen because this is all we can get out of Herc and Hato.
So what you're saying is that
Yeah.
he's not going to make a sub in the 87th minute as like the first move?
No,
Probably not.
I don't expect major changes because Jovan Jones at left back, V8 to start. Everything else depends on Marshall's health. I don't really see anything else. I mean, I think what Lamar does is going to be best coming off the bench. Nuhu offers some defensive help. I don't want Roldan in the attacking band because he's so good as a defensive mid. But maybe you try that again. I don't know. In some ways, you just got to grind it out because
Let it solve itself.
I mean,
Not start Dempsey. I mean, we're not crazy. There's definitely something isn't working either between players or like someone just needs a minute.
But we talked about that a little bit in that the only thing wrong is literally the finishing. They're getting the shots off. The shots they're getting off are in good spaces.
But could you say that somebody
Their
couldn't
possession
do
is
what
good.
Clint
They're-
Dempsey has done in the last 2 weeks? One, have like now the second worst touch of the
Right.
season because that was awful. And a number of shots that were not great.
Yes, but remember who the other players... Clint Dempsey was the most goal-dangerous player on the team.
We're not going to disagree on that.
So what we're going to talk about is sitting Clint Dempsey so worse players get more touches and have worse shots
But worse than.
than bad Clint Dempsey, yeah. And bad Clint Dempsey's going to finish with 10 or 12 goals this year.
Yeah. Bad Clint Dempsey right now. In the same way that, to be honest, Jordan Morris could have sat a number of games, either for health reasons or otherwise. You don't have to start everybody because they make money.
He's not starting because he makes money. He's starting because he's one of the best players in the league.
Okay, but you don't think that there's a Ladero-Deuce conflict?
No, because the key passes and shots between the two, the possession and the touches, those are mostly great.
Okay.
It's
I
just
think
the
they're trying
finishing.
to do some of the same things, or that one of them is doing things that the other one can do, and they don't both need to do them. Down to the point where earlier in the
you
season
think
you
they're
saw
both
it.
trying too hard?
You saw it on maybe.
I think they're both trying
that
too
could
hard.
absolutely be it. But there were in that same way where sometimes when you watch two guys line up for a free kick outside the area, and it's clearly like strategic, they're just going to wait to the last second, and you're not going to know who's coming. There was a point earlier in the season where it looked like it wasn't amicable.
Yeah, it looks awkward. Like they're awkward. Like there's not that same in syncness.
I don't know if there
Like
are.
with
It's not in like a negative argument kind of way.
Yeah.
I just feel like.
Something's
Do you addition by subtraction? Like, do you make a change in order to A, have Clint Dempsey come on in the 65th minute, which is insane, and B, like, do you just open up the field a little bit and just change the way
I'm not saying
play
he's going to start all 3 games because we have this situation where it's at Salt Lake, home Vancouver, at Philly, and Clint is soccer old now.
Right.
He's not going to. We no longer have the Clint Dempsey that's going to go 80 minutes those 3 games.
Right.
So there will be a game that he sits.
Philly away. Or
I think it depends. I think it depends what happens in the next 2 matches to
But-
see what the lineup is in that match.
I mean, it's good for Lamar, who we're going to talk to next week here at the Berliner Pub.
join us.
Oh, are we?
Because, I mean, it's good for if Dempsey sits, you're starting Lamar Nagel.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Oh my
You're
God.
sliding Nico into the middle, Lamar in V8.
They might as well try it now. Give him the rest now.
Start him at home.
Yeah.
See what happens for the
Yeah.
Philly game.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know how you did it.
I don't know
You
what the
convinced
right
it.
solution is. Some part of me feels like you just need to crack the code and win at RSL,
Now, I don't
and
know-
then make decisions from there.
Yeah. I guess I would see. Man, this is tough. I think this whole it encapsulates what this season has been like. It's been a tough season.
So let's round this up because Dave and I could argue about this for like 3 days. Let's call predictions for Saturday. Mark.
1-0 Sounders.
I'm gonna go 2-1 Sounders. 2-1 Sounders. Even though I don't think we've ever won in RSL, but I'm still gonna go.
Lamar Nagel's beaten RSL.
David.
1-0. Sounders.
1-0 Sounders.
Nagel.
Did we just have a moon go by?
Yeah.
You know why it was? It was an eclipse.
Of the heart.
That was pretty clever.
I'm going to say 2-0 Sounders.
2-0. 2-0.
So half of us think the Sounders are finally going to score 2 goals again.
Yes. I said 2-1.
Yeah.
What did you say?
I said 1. Mark and I were 1-0. You guys both think the Sounders
2.
can score 2 goals.
Yeah, they're due. They're overdue. We need some goals. We need momentum. We need to get hot going into the playoffs, and we're running out of time to turn that up, to turn that notch up.
And I'm going to say Ladero and Jones.
Oof. I'm going to say Lamar. He's going to be here next week. Join
You're
us
just
here
doing that so
at
you could bring that
the Berliner.
recap up when he comes on the show next week. Jerk.
Just
I
came-
see what you're
just
doing.
happened. Just happened. It just happened. And Lamar. Oh,
2
boy,
from
Yes,
Lamar.
let's go with the praise. Welcome home.
Do you have any further predictions? You're saying own goal? Mark says own goal, RSL.
They're not going to score our. Yeah. That'd be
Yeah.
Own goal. Great. Anyway. All right. So we talked about soccer quite a bit.
Yes, we did.
I think we have some cool life stuff that we should discuss. So I'm going to let you get into this, but you've been off and on for, what, 3-4 months?
About, man.
Longer
3-4
than that,
months.
really, but 3-4 months in and out
Yep.
for a number of things.
Yes.
A lot of interesting politics happening around Burien.
Yeah, dude, and I
so
hate to
can you
call
back
it-
it up and
I
like
can.
tell
I
people
sure
about
can.
where this all started and
So
what you've
yeah,
been up to?
and I'm gonna kind of give you guys a summary of a conversation I had with Nate Bowling on his show yesterday on his podcast. I'm gonna summarize it briefly. End of the year, at the beginning of the year,
with the
sorry,
nerd farmer?
December. What's up?
With the nerd farmer?
Yep, our bud Nate. End of the year, folks in Buren petitioned the city council to bring forward a sanctuary city ordinance, and it took 2 months and 2 voting sessions by the city council to pass, but it passed. And everything's great. There's a lot of great feedback from the community. Feeling
Talk
like,
to people about Sanctuary City because not everyone necessarily knows what it
yeah,
is.
so Sanctuary City is basically an ordinance that cities set up to let the immigrant community know that they are not at risk of being deported by the local jurisdictions or local police forces working with federal immigration forces. King County has a policy that has been on the books since the mid '90s. That is basically they don't ask, they don't tell. And in Buren, the police department is managed by the King County Police. So an ordinance was asked to be brought in. We just had a nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway.
So it passed. This ordinance passed that basically extended to city employees of Buren. So the city employees would also not ask. So if I wanted to start a business and I'm an immigrant, no one's going to ask me or to show my papers. It was really, really shocking to me to find out that it took 2 months, multiple times to pass. Because I had a perception, having grown up in Buren and White Center, that since it's such a large Latino community, that the city council would acknowledge this and see how. That use crime and local rhetoric or current rhetoric to kind of scare folks. And unfortunately, there was an outside group that got some money, an outside group from Buren that's from West Seattle that tried to petition to repeal this ordinance in Buren. He got $10,000 from a white nationalist organization in Michigan, and he hired some folks to gather signatures. They got paid a couple bucks per signature, and they were being very, very aggressive. And one of those I shared online that called me illegal to my face, and that's why I wanted criminals in Buren. Anyhow, we'll fast forward, and they did this same petition in Spokane, and a court in Spokane found that the petition was illegal. The very unsavvy group decided to use the same petition, just copy paste it and send it to Buren. So we a group of Buren residents got together and got enough support from local labor union to get an attorney to challenge and block this petition. And last week it was ruled illegal and in our favor, so that come November there won't be a repeal the Sanctuary City Ordinance. So it was a great win, because it's been a lot of months of going out to my grocery store with a few of my neighbors to try to let public know they'll sign these petitions. They're really leading you on. They're misinforming you. This is not about crime. It's about illegal immigrants. It's basically a lot of civic education, and it really has been like 6 months of in the streets, learning about how to get information out to the public, and just being engaged in my community where I grew up and where I live in Buren. Yeah. And that's only the beginning, right? Because now there's local Buren City Council elections, and definitely check out the Nerd Farming podcast. That's going to be released. I'll have a lot more details.
I think it's tomorrow morning, if I remember.
I don't have the exact date when the episode that I'm on is going to be released, but I will definitely be retweeting it and sharing it. But there you'll get to hear from Sandy Restrapo. She is an amazing, talented immigration attorney that has a women-led immigration firm that has done a lot of know your rights trainings and has done a lot of stuff to really try to help out. And it's really, it's a little bit deep in the weeds stuff of a small city's government, but this is impacting all the cities, all the surrounding cities, and this group that got this money from white nationalist organization in Michigan that's anti-immigrant is already sending more money to try to make this petition maybe go statewide. So a lot of stuff is happening, but it's been really amazing, the support that I've gotten from friends, Sounders family. You guys have been really supportive. not missing a beat when I keep telling you guys at the last second, oh, I'm not going to make the show. Oh, I'm not going to make the show. You guys have nonstop being supportive. Friends are, reached out. Some donated money to get some flyers printed. Some said, hey, you know what? At one of the city council members, there was about 6 VADA members, not all Latino, who came in, spoke up, made statements. So it's been very appreciated, man. I feel very humbled and blessed to have so many friends like you guys here on the show, off the show, online, that kind of keep encouraging me because it's not fun, man. I'm not gonna lie. It's not easy to get involved and do it. But if I don't do it, I don't know anybody else will be hearing, right? So I'm hoping to get more folks to do a little bit, even if it's just coming out one day. Good stuff.
When are you running King County?
I am not, sir. I am not. I am more than happy
Garcia
to help.
2020.
No. Yeah, no, man. I am definitely
I
one
give it
to
2
try
years.
to bring awareness to what's going on. And there's a lot of people that have a lot of experience in organizing and working with the communities. I have literally started in January by going to just city council meetings, but there's folks that have been doing this for years that I'm happy to bring awareness to and support. So thank you, though. Thank you. It's hard.
Can we
It's
get
hard.
like Bowling Garcia 2025 or something? We'll go with that. By the way,
What's the big
we were
2025
reminded-
election?
I don't know. I just made something up. It was enough years away from now that it seemed interesting. Nice. We have been given the heads up that it is Mr. Bowling's birthday today.
Oh, nice.
So,
Feliz
Feliz-
cumpleaños, Nate.
He
Yeah.
and Christian Pulisic.
And who?
Pulisic.
Oh, Pulisic.
Wow. Who's today been compared to Messi and Ronaldo.
Wow.
Paul Carr
That
was
was
amazing.
the worst stat board I've seen in quite
It was
some
hilarious.
Oh, my God.
time. And they're like, he's played more games than all of these people. And here are some random metrics.
When
Compare.
he says Eva, it's pretty like if you're the stats dude for ESPN and you do all bold and 7 exclamation points and misspell ever, you're not taking a serious
He likes
attempt
memes.
at that. Yeah.
ESPN.
It was funny. It was a good joke. No. It was a great joke. It was a great joke.
So,
I mean, it's not like they had him hold the scarf up on the top of the Space Needle.
awful. Don't ever do that. MLS teams.
Noted.
So, coming out of this, what's next? Does anything else have to happen?
There's a lot. So this is definitely not a short game. It's definitely a long game type scenario, right? Because Bureau city council elections are in November. These elections after presidential elections usually are not very heavy with actual voters. And the people that do vote tend to be older, retired people that tend to be conservative. So there's a slate of 4 folks that are pro-immigrant rights and pro-sanctuary city, and there's a slate of 4 not very supportive
For how
of
many?
immigrant rights.
For how many spots?
4 spots.
For
so
4.
there's 8 people.
So it's straight up.
It is straight up, and the council's a supermajority of 7. So
And the council, is it like Seattle where you're running for a particular seat?
it's
Or
not.
you're
it's
just
open.
running open?
It's open. There's
Oh,
no
wow.
district.
It's just
yeah.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
The top 4 winners.
Basically, the top 4 will join the other 3 that are current.
3.
Wow.
And could hold, super majority. to
That's
pretty
really
much-
interesting.
Dude, you'd be surprised how crazy. I've learned so much this year, but currently, it's been 3 pro-immigrant and 3 anti-sanctuary city, and 1 swing vote. Now the swing vote didn't pass the primaries, so it's definitely going to be a situation where someone's going to take over and start implementing. So if it is the 4 anti-sanctuary candidates, they can just repeal the sanctuary ordinance or change it. Yeah, they can do it.
Of the 3 that left, what's their split? Is it 2?
Currently, there is
2-1 or-
2-1. It is 2-1
2-1 on Sanctuary City?
against.
Against.
Yeah,
So you got your work's cut out for you
Right.
because you got to make up ground.
right. Yeah.
You essentially need to
Get 3
You have to get 3 at a minimum.
at minimum. Yeah. And it's tough because these other folks are, very heavily using crime and fear mongering tactics.
Well,
very,
and that's how the petition was done.
very much so, dude.
Right? It
Very much
wasn't
so.
ever anything about specific law or whatever. It was just
Yeah, keep criminals
keep
away.
criminals out of your town.
Yes.
Well, who wouldn't sign that?
Right,
Like,
exactly.
really?
Yeah, especially when you're getting confronted at your car, as you're getting out of your car, in your face. A lot of these folks were elderly. I kept watching them, who they were targeting. They were targeting elderly. They even targeted also immigrants, too, that, English wasn't their best language.
So they
And
just sign it.
They just signed it, man. It was so sad to.
I mean, I
to see that.
remember when I first turned 18, like if somebody put an initiative in front of me, I'm like, I'm signing this. It'll be great to vote on it.
Right.
It didn't mean that I approved of it. I was just excited to vote on shit. And more, I'm like, I'd rather not risk people be like. People
Yeah.
could vote against. That whole like democracy is cool thing. Yeah, it's still cool, but maybe I don't want to vote on everything anymore. 'Cause
Yeah.
they're idiots.
Yeah, dude. So Buren's about 51,000 people and about 23 to 24 vote. And
But that 23 to
Are registered to
24,000
vote.
are registered to
registered to vote.
Only half of them in presidential elections.
Yeah.
Only half of them in non-presidential elections.
Yeah.
So you're down to 12 to 6 to like 3,000 people basically.
Yeah. So
You got to convince 3,500 people to vote.
Yep.
And I was just I listen to a lot of talk radio with my job change because I'd like to know what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
And there's a related initiative that, because it's so popular amongst millennials, they have to literally train millennials how to use the mail because it's in a different state. We're already all mail balloting. But
Right.
This other state has a gay marriage that's going up for a popular vote, and they know that if the youth show up, it'll happen, except none of the youth know how to put a stamp on a piece of mail.
Yeah. So
Mail.
some of the times I went doorbelling, it was to do just voter registration, and we went to a big apartment complex that's traditionally has been a low income apartment complex, and it's really just basic education on are you registered? Are you registered for Buren? So we just had all the forms with stamps on them, and we pre-filled out the address to ship it to try to make it as simple as possible. It's been a very, very I should have paid attention in civics in high school, but I don't think we had that at the time. But yeah, it's been.
But aside from obviously the victory in the past few days,
Right.
Are you feeling good about where the direction is going? Because you've seen some shit, for lack
Right.
of a better way to say it,
Right.
in the last 12 months. So, do you feel like at a minimum in Burien, things are going in a good way, or is it just still up in the air?
I think still very. There's a lot of friction in the community. There's a lot of divisiveness. The folks that are anti-sanctuary ordinance. I'm trying not to be too. It's about the same, man. There's a lot of folks that are just scared and they just are misinforming folks, and it's not. This was a great victory, but I don't think it's one that's resonated widely across the whole city.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say, I think Seattle's paying attention to what's up in Burien.
Yeah.
Aside from, obviously, you were in the
Aside
Stranger
from you
article
getting
a couple
written
of
up in
weeks
The
ago.
Stranger,
Yeah.
but other stuff.
I
Yeah.
posted the story the other day after you had given us the heads up to Reddit,
Yeah.
and people were like, "Oh, okay, great!" People jump right on it.
Yeah, yeah.
So I do feel like it's caught the attention of far more than
More.
just Burien.
And that's why I skipped going to the Seahawks tailgate yesterday
Yeah.
because I wanted to go to do Nate's show, his podcast, because there's folks in Tacoma that will likely have family or work in Burien or know people in Burien, so it's just bringing awareness to what's going on. It's a great win, but it's not over because it could all fall apart come November.
Right.
So it's all about awareness, getting 3,500 voters aware that their vote's really important.
we
or hopefully
totally
more.
should ask him the SonarFeed questions, by the way. It's hard to bridge from this particular topic, so because I think we could stick to it.
We could
for a
definitely
minute,
bridge
but-
back to something that's we discussed yesterday.
No, I mean this is important.
No,
we did discuss some stuff yesterday.
yeah.
to tie it in
Yeah, we did.
a little bit to soccer, we're talking about Dreamers and DACA are something that I know Hugo pays a lot of attention to.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It is a subset of what's going on with the sanctuary city
Very much so.
issues and immigration
there's-
controls and immigration illegality. There is a distinct connection to MLS in that a former MLS player, currently LA2 player,
Yeah.
is a Dreamer.
Yep.
And I'm kind of perturbed that the league or LA themselves hasn't come out. You're talking about one of your own talents, one of the guys that
Right.
like he came up through DC United's academy.
Wasn't he part of their whole marketing program? They had this big.
Well, I
marketing-
mean, they pushed the academy really heavy
Yeah.
that year. He was part of DC United's outreach into inner cities, because they redoubled their efforts to get into that. I mean, that's how they got Andy Nahar originally as well, who was an immigrant who obviously did quite well for himself. Represents Honduras and is in Belgium or something.
That's the key. Like,
Yeah.
like it's impacting so many folks. Like, not just players, but just to bring it home. There is multiple DACA recipient folks that you have all that I'm sitting here watching you have all cheered with, sang with, chanted with in the section, and they're DACA recipients, but they're also
There are friends of all of us sitting at the
yeah,
table.
yeah, yeah. Friends
that's
that have
all
been
I'll
on
say.
away trips with us.
Yeah.
Friends that have been at pre-funks.
Someone you've high-fived
Yeah,
or hugged.
and that's your
or
neighbors,
clinked
man. Like
glasses with.
I assure you, it's folks that you're like, what, really? Yeah, man. I mean, it's not just one or two, three people that are Harvard, students or something. These are the majority are folks like you and I who just love soccer, love the Sounders, want to just pay your bills,
Right.
buy a house, raise a family, and now everything's at limbo. They might not be able to work. The house that they got, they might not be able to pay for it. Their families may get taken away. It's jacked up, man. So for me as an immigrant myself, I hate to use the word privilege, but I'm aware of the privilege that I have, that I may not be at risk to be deported. I may not be a DACA recipient, but I can tell people about what's going on and try to support to make sure that this doesn't get any worse than it already is.
Yeah. So I do want to talk about something we've been talking about for a couple weeks that we didn't talk about last week, about things that have happened in the stadium.
Oh,
recently.
ingress, egress, and signage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, so some stuff.
Things happen.
We could talk about ingress, egress, because maybe that's the more fun topic, especially with Sarah Colonna and bags at the entrance.
Yeah,
Oh, Circle. Onaga.
your stadium has security theater problems when they're trying to keep a player's wife's bag out.
Literal famous people.
Wow. The producer.
She literally made the bag.
Adam isn't on a microphone,
Yeah.
so
Yes,
nobody
this is our
heard him.
producer.
What he asked was it one of the bags that she produced? And yes, it was. They eyeballed it and said that it was too big. And she's like, no, it's not, and filmed it fitting. But what that's a symbol of is that so frequently the security people are just empowered to make decisions that don't necessarily have anything to do with the measurements or the rules. They just glance over it, and their decision is arbitrary and inconsistent, which leads to high levels of conflict that we've seen. It led to a Reign employee being called a bitch.
A fan.
Another fan, I believe. I've heard more than one report, but we know one that went public. the game day operations person for another soccer team was given a gendered insult because she wanted to enter the stadium with something that sorry, got quickly distracted. We have a slightly different DJ this week.
Notes just showed up.
They're arbitrary and inconsistent, and they don't know who they are. They don't know what they're doing. I don't know what time it is.
Bless me.
So, that's just one of the symbols of the problem. I've been told that my golden scarf is suspicious, and so they've asked me to empty my entire bag of the 20-some scarves that I bring in the clear bag that I was given.
I mean, to be fair, you are super suspicious, and you speak Arabic, so clearly...
I'll tell you that story off air, by the
Yeah.
way, the Arabic-related one. That doesn't relate to our security theater, but different security
but-
theaters. So there are issues with ingress, egress, and one of the things to know that when we talk about, like, I think Aaron Campo put it this way, when you talk about marginalized people and security, they're the ones that are more likely to have arbitrary, inconsistent policies applied to them.
Every week.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, we have friends in Barra who have had significant issues getting into the stadium. Much more than, hey, your scarf is suspicious, but like there was the encounter that went public as well, where a guy had his
Can
first
I just
visit.
say all
was
of it's
just bad.
stupid? Like, I literally put all my shit in my hat, and there's been a couple times where I've forgotten I've had my knife with me, so I just put
When
it
you
in my
put in
hat.
your hat, it's fine.
And
no one
they just-
notices.
They just look at your hat, and they're like, okay. Meanwhile, I walked in the stadium with a 4-inch knife.
You're one of
My
like
brothers
10
had to
people I know
escalate
that do that.
4 people in order to get pizza in, despite the fact that the rules specifically state
can
you
bring
can bring
food
a
in.
whole pizza. No.
Pizza specifically.
Oh, yeah.
Normally you can bring food for one, except on pizza it says whole pizza, as written in the rules. So he's walking in with a whole pizza, and he's had to escalate 4 people up in order to enter the stadium or throw away his pizza.
It's pardon my French, it's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And my brother has problems with authority. That might be part of why that escalates so much.
You know, I haven't been a Seahawks season ticket holder for a number of years. I have trained myself to get in as smoothly, as quickly as possible. So out of habit, I just have my routines down that tend to be de-escalating as I go in. So I've never had an issue, but that's just me. But I've had years of training, and I'm aware of how easily things could turn.
I literally trained people on how to be aware of terrorism. That was part of my role when I was in the service, and yet still I'm the suspicious guy because I have a scarf that literally the team gave me.
to celebrate you.
Inside the stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, it is you again. That golden scarf looks super suspicious.
On me.
You're up to something.
So the ingress egress definitely is an issue, and I think that just escalates general fan angst.
Yep.
When other things are also going wrong.
Right.
As we've noticed on social media, rage increases exponentially in the social media era.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when you get, even if it's just 10 people with shitty ingress egress, and then you get just maybe 10 people with signage, scarf, shirt problems. So it's only 20 out of, maybe. I'm just pulling a number out of the air, but it's not like there are hundreds of people having these problems. There's a small number of people that are having problems,
On the whole, right?
but in the social media era,
that's
It multiplies.
every person
Yeah.
is like 50.
50.
there's
Yeah.
0.01%
Right.
of the 45,000.
Right.
And because ingress egress relates to the political environment around the war on terror, and then the political choices of how to get involved with the limitations on speech in public places and the supposed no politics despite having very blatantly political positions about LGBT and Hispanic and veteran
Yeah.
rights. So then you get into whether or not anti-fascism, anti-racism signage should be allowed.
Which is a really specific thing. And
Jake brings up the anthem.
Yep.
which is something with a 100-year history. So if you want to say that it shouldn't be there, you're battling a different kind of conversation
Different
than
discussion.
something that
Yeah,
happened
unfortunately.
Yep.
3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
Right.
I think. Thank you.
So we're going to get serious right now, and it's going to be not sticking to sports. If you're not interested, turn off.
We'll see you next week with Lamar.
If you are interested, tune in because we got a couple minutes to go.
We got
Or
a couple
you
minutes
should
to go.
come down
Yeah.
So
to the Berliner pub.
that's something
Third
that
main
will
ahead of the
never
curve.
change. ECS as a group is not going to be political. Members in ECS can do whatever they want on a personal level. The difference or the point at which the group will, as a group, have a conversation with a team or security or the league or whatever is right now at like human rights and fascism.
Right.
And what we saw now, a week and a day ago, is it really that far ago?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was there were a number of people's personal tuples, so not things that came in with ECS, like the TIFO crew or anything, but people's personal tuples about fascism or dreamers or some pretty specific things. And generally speaking, most supporters or across the league, not just here in Seattle, know the line or what the league will or will not be okay with. They tend to change it when ESPN broadcasts.
It's tighter on national television.
Don Garber is at matches, and maybe one or two other factors depending on what's happening. And earlier this year, we saw a couple of different things happen in Portland where they went at a cartoon, literally imagery of a cartoon that is like super, super mainstream. And they were like, that's too violent.
Hey,
That's been used for years.
Jake's still not on a microphone. Says
That's literally been brought to Portland for multiple seasons.
So, not at all totally shocked or surprised. But this last match, there were a couple of specific two-poles and things that were on the drums and some other things in the section that were called out by security on the field or security in the section or someone watching the cameras, the eyes
Right.
in the sky, and saying to pull it down. And there are some specific ones that mention the president's name or the number of president that he is
Yep.
and so on, that we're all pretty aware that's going to get taken down and why. And then there are others that, from what we've always been explained, are a non-issue. And multiple of those were asked to be taken down. And there were a couple of incidents that happened towards the back of the section where someone who I know for a fact was not holding something was grabbed out of the section and was told, because we saw you on camera, you did this. And a gentleman was wearing an anti-racist, anti-fascist, straight-edge piece of clothing.
it only had one of those two phrases.
Anti-fascist.
And
Actually,
Anti-fascist.
both. One on the top, one on the bottom.
No, I thought
And
it
then
said
the middle
straight
said
edge.
straight edge.
Oh.
Oh, that.
Yeah. Anyway, all the people that were around him actually admitted to security to holding something that they didn't like and asked to take down. He never touched it. And they were like, it's you. You're coming with us. And they literally made him go and like speak to a camera where they can, quote, confirm that it was him from a control booth somewhere.
Did you know we had the Gestapo
Yeah.
in
And
CenturyLink?
someone else
I would
walked
not
out with
take it
him
that far.
and literally said, I did this. I'll leave the stadium for today. He didn't do anything. And they were like, we don't want to talk to you. And
Well, but
whatever. So the moral to that story is he was ultimately let back into his seats. The security guard who, quote, didn't get what he wanted then said, basically, I can toss you for the shirt that you're wearing, which said nothing wrong but anti-racist, anti-fascist, straight edge. And he was told to his face, with multiple people there, that they could toss him for that. So the moral to the story here is we've since had a number of conversations with the team. We've been told in no uncertain terms, does the club have any issue with anti-fascist anything? It's basically like you couldn't say fuck fascism. We're all aware of that, and we get it. I don't agree.
No, you're not. I mean,
I don't agree with it, but I'm aware that that's going to get my 2-pole taken away.
yeah, the F-bomb
Okay.
will get
We'll
you
get
kicked
no
out
matter
of
what
it.
you say.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
like
Let's go fucking mental.
yeah, would get
Got-
taken down.
Got
you know,
ECS in a lot of trouble when
right? And that's a song that
Yeah.
you're singing.
Well,
you know,
no,
or
those were
lyrics that you're singing.
scarves
right?
that
But,
were produced
well,
by
That's a whole nother discussion, but we understand what the basic lines is. Like
Right.
pictures of you shooting people,
Right.
probably going to be a problem. But this was the situation where the stadium or security chose to do something
Yeah.
and didn't have buy-in from the team. So our hope is that it will be resolved to the level we're currently expecting it to be, which is that certain things are okay. We're just trying to get some clarity on exactly what the language is.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, whether I like it or not when I'm speaking as ECS co-president, Tom, that everything's getting political in the area, that's where the world is going. And the lack of clarity, yet again, in the stadium is causing a lot of grief for people. Frankly, causing a lot of grief for security that should feel like they have some clarity that they don't right now, and causing a lot of grief for guests. So it's just not something any of us needs to worry about at the end of the day. And I'm hopeful that we're going to come to a match next Wednesday versus Vancouver in Cascadia Cup, that we're not having this discussion anymore
Right.
afterwards.
No, yeah, totally agree, man.
I have a feeling we'll have this discussion because I think some of the people who are putting together the signs do drop the F-bomb in order to, and people who put up things that literally advocate violence.
I've been told in no uncertain terms,
you
on
advocate
specific
violence-
ones, it depends on what you say.
punch so and so. Yeah,
Shout out to the kid today. Or
I was
yesterday,
told that hospitalizing your local fascist is okay.
I would guarantee you that the security guy that's there doesn't think so.
It's not up to security.
It is up to him on enforcement. We just discussed that they are arbitrary in how they apply.
I'm going to say that there is a landlord-tenant discussion that this is at right now.
I will bet you that the short term is the person that has a 2-pole that advocates violence will get
Oh, probably.
out. It
Probably.
Yeah.
What's important here is,
that it's not the team.
at its base, is that the team is on the side of people that advocate against fascism, specifically.
Right.
As well as, so human rights is the line.
And to be clear, the team has been in favor of anti-fascist statements since 2009.
Correct.
Guerrilla FC could not be more clear about their anti-racism, anti-fascism stance. They put up banners and 2-poles, signage. They use the Antifa symbol and have
Right.
before it was part of
Before it was the thing to
popular-
do. Yeah.
They have been there, and the club has and the security have said that it's fine. This is a very recent thing that has happened within the last few weeks.
Yep.
And that to me says that it's not organizational, but
Individual.
instead individual and
Probably.
Taking
arbitrary.
power to.
It does somewhat coincide with some of the changes that happen once Seahawks preseason starts.
They
Makes
do hire a
sense.
lot of new staff
Yeah.
at that time, and there
But
are
we're at
some
the
legacy
supervisor
issues.
level right now.
There are some legacy issues
Yeah.
when with security guards and the type of people who want to become security guards. Yeah,
So, in any case, that's happening. What's important there is, for the group that's paying attention to this, is the club understands people's positions and understands that especially a younger audience, people that are maybe a little bit more politically motivated or wanting to be politically involved in a non-online way, are into displays of
Yeah.
their beliefs in and around a sporting event. So I only expect that to escalate,
I agree.
and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
And again, it's the same team that just had Pride Month that has Latino or Hispanic celebration. I forget which
On the
version.
15th.
Coming up,
It's coming right up.
Yep. The last game of the season.
Second to last.
Second to last.
15th.
Fan celebration is the last one. Is it Hispanic or Latino Pride? Or did they say both this year? I think they've used both versions in the
I thought it
past.
said Latino.
I think I'm saying Latino. I think the movement's moving to Latino, but
Because I know one year they did Hispanic Pride and then had the Brazil flag out, and I laughed.
Yeah,
I remember that.
it's Hispanic on the
LOL.
promo, but I mean, potato for now. There's a game night for it on the
So-
15th. So
So let's get to fun stuff.
Fun stuff.
Next
Like
Monday,
Oktoberfest?
yes,
7:30, Berliner Pub.
3rd and Main. Downtown
Downtown
Renton.
Lamar Nagel.
Lamar Nagel, who is a huge friend of the show, who's been on when we've done the SonarFeed FIFA tournaments. His last appearance was
We owe
remote.
him a large donation this year.
Yeah,
We've raised about $25,000 for his various charities through those functions over the 4 years that it was done, and this will be the first time that he's answering like the questions and that kind of thing.
That's going to be awesome.
He's never done the full show.
So if you want to get your selfie in with Lamar, not that he hasn't taken a million inside the stadium,
Schedule
or on
your
the street,
time.
Yeah.
come on out Monday night. Seriously, it's going to be a really good time.
We can get some nice West Hill East Hill rivalry because I grew up East Hill, he grew up West Hill.
Wow.
Hugo knows what that's about.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. But
I don't.
let's not. You live
Shut
in
up, Bellevue.
Kirkland, dude. Anyway, so we're going to get a little bit of 253 action. We're going to talk
Yeah.
a little bit about Sounders,
go.
non-Sounders, Sounders, non-Sounders, Sounders, and see what that's like. We can talk a little bit about what I would say is a fairly pivotal game in the Sounders season this year that Lamar Nagel may have paid
and Lamar's
going
going to score a goal too there.
And we'll, hopefully have some positive results.
We'll talk
out
about
of the
how
weekend.
he went from an undrafted free agent as a rookie to now he qualifies for one of the hardest to qualify for free agency policies in American sports. At the end of this season, he's a full-on free agent.
And
Lamar Nagel, undrafted, 8 years in MLS.
Crazy
Wow.
Town. And we could talk about when Mark thought that Lamar Nagel was in Montreal again.
That was
We're
great.
actually going to pull that tweet up on the screen and
Can't
show
wait.
it to him. And he's going to be like, I
Can't
didn't see
wait.
that. And we're going to be like, we know.
We'll talk to him. He and I will talk about the time we watched a movie together. In that we were both in the theater and we saw each other in line and said hello, but never.
What movie was it? Well, I'll save it for next
Did
week.
you buy him
So-
popcorn?
We'll save it for next week.
So your events are easy to plan this weekend.
So come to. It's a week out. We've given
Yeah.
you. How often do you get a week warning for one of our?
Yeah,
Like
seriously.
usually you
yes.
get like 12 hours.
Yeah. So you need to come to the Berliner Pub, 3rd
Get
May,
here.
downtown Renton.
Get here.
Next week.
Yeah.
Monday night,
7:30.
7:30.
But
We're kicking
Friday
the
and
show off
Saturday, you can also come to the Berliner.
for Oktoberfest. This weekend is the Polliner.
Yes,
weekend.
sir. Polliner, Hacker, Short.
Hacker Shore.
Shore as well.
Hacker
Yeah.
Shore.
Get in.
Also, Happy Hans will be playing the Oompa on both Friday and Saturday.
And they are
night.
great.
They always. Yeah.
So a week from tonight, Lamar Nagel, Berliner Pub, be here. We'll be here. Mark might even be here. I don't know where you'll be sitting. Probably in Jake's spot because he'll be in
Oh, my
Toronto
God.
We will.
or Des
You know what I
Moines.
just
We
realized?
will
We'll-
probably be outside, so
we'll
bring your
hopefully be
scarves just because
outside,
we'll
yeah.
need
Dude.
that room
Wear a
I just
jacket.
to dedicate the space. We'll have the fire and some of the heaters on. If
I'm going to
it's
be
cold
in
like this-
DC.
Oh.
I'm sorry, man. I tried.
Maybe Mark will be on the show.
I didn't know.
You can definitely
It's all
talk about
good.
Montreal
It's all
then.
good.
Should I
You
bring
can
my
listen
fan
to
of the
me.
year sign?
We'll stream you in.
I'll watch.
Yeah.
I might be on a plane at that time, actually.
I mean,
Should I bring my
tuned
fan
into
of the year
about
sign?
8 minutes from Myrtle.
Yes.
When I was
Again.
at Myrtle Beach a month and a half ago.
I'll see. I think I leave at 5 or 6 Monday.
You'll be
So-
on a plane.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Big times. Yeah.
So Monday night, be here. Thank you everybody for
Do
joining
it.
us. Ugo, welcome back.
Yes, pleasure to
See
be
you in
back.
2 weeks.
Welcome back.
Jake, Thanks.
Do we call him Canadian Jake with the good hair?
That's so
Eh?
complicated.
Yeah.
All right, we're out.